Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 15 of What If Kaguya Was Naruto's Mother. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also stay in tune because after this I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Rebuild the Uzumaki Clan over on Anime King 2. And on this channel, go ahead and check out the new episode of What If Naruto Was Neglected by Everyone and enjoy. And also guys, go ahead and check out the new episode of What If Aizuna Uchiha Was Naruto's Ancestor. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and join both channels and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah guys, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So, the last part we left off, Naruto stood at the monastery as he buried his wife, and he also created grave for his two children even though there wasn't any body. As Naruto showed his full form, his horns were extended, his long white flowing hair was going down his back, and his eyes were white as he then took off to the sky country. When Naruto arrived there, he ignited himself with lightning as he smashed through all of the people in gliders that were protecting the city like patrols. As Naruto landed in the city with a boom, as he found the girl that was responsible for the explosion that killed his wife and his kids, as he grabbed her by the neck and snapped it even though she begged for her life, as Naruto told her that her family would be joining her soon. As Naruto then went on a mercenary slaughter as some ninjas attacked him as he slaughtered them. A big, overgrown sized man then came as he was the leader of this country. As Naruto asked him who told him to attack Konoha, pretending to be them and attack other village. As the man told Naruto that he didn't know the person, he was wearing a cloak, but it was a man, and he came to him in the dead of the night and told him this. As Naruto was pissed, but still he didn't know who this person was or where he could find them. So Naruto took out his wrath on this village as he started to tear the Sky Village apart. In the end, Naruto created a miniature sun as the sun then exploded, destroying the Sky Country, leaving no one alive. Even the ground had a huge crater in it and the Sky Country was in mid-air. To how strong and powerful Naruto's attack was. 4 days later, Hiruzen and Sarutobi arrived there. The place was still burning hot. As they got information, Jiraiya is out searching for Naruto, as they want to know why did he do this, seeing that Sky Country was an ally to Konoha, but they had no clue that Sky Country was planning on betraying them. We then had a time skip, as the other countries has grouped together to take down Uzu. If they take down Uzu, that means Konoha would lose a strong ally. So the Stone and Kiri arrive, as they were all on ships. Kashima, Kushina's mother, was doing the evacuation, but the barrier was put up, as Kushina was sent to Konoha but her son was still here, as Kashima just hoped that her daughter was okay. As she came back to her father Kai, as they watched all of the invaders got on the land. And everyone was surprised when the sixth tail arrived as it came out of the water. As two other Jinjulkis then rushed towards it and tried to capture it. But the six tails had enough strength to push them back. That was when the lightning started crackling in the sky. As everyone looked up, it seemed the sky was angry. As Kai then saw Naruto, he could tell from those horns and the hair standing in the air. As Naruto then released his wrath like a vengeful god and destroying the stone ninjas and the Kira ninjas, as Naruto raised up the earth as he then made it plummet back down with a huge explosion as he killed both of the Jinchuriki, freeing the Bijus from them. As the Biju's chakra disappeared, it was going to take years for them to reform. As the six tails went off, Mew and the Mizukage was beyond surprised this man just came and wiped out their shinobis like it was nothing. As Mew told Oniki that he is now the new Tishikage, the Mizukage also gave the leadership of the village, the new Mizukage, over to his apprentice, as he told them to gather what remaining man was here and retreat now, as both Mew and the Mizukage was looking at Naruto, trying to hold him off, but they know they will die. So yeah guys, that was basically the last part we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself, so let's start this new episode. For several moments, none of the Kage spoke, as the two of them sized up what could be their last opponent, as Naruto stood there. "Aren't you going to do anything?" the Mizukage asked. "Last time I checked, the power of the elemental sage wasn't to steer people to death," as Naruto ignored that comment, as they were trying to provoke him, as he then spoke. "I will do something when you get here, ninja, because I'm not fighting an illusion," as both of them were shocked, as the Mizukage were shocked beyond the rock ninja. How did he know? As the Mizukage then rushed forward, as Naruto stood there, the man then exploded into steam. As Naruto waved his hand and all of the steam was blown away within seconds, Naruto then dodged a kick that was aimed at his head. As Naruto then jumped back, as he saw two copies of Mew, as the both of them rushed towards him, as Naruto dodged their kicks. He then jumped up in mid-air, as the both of them swung around and did a roundhouse kick, but he grabbed their legs, as he thrust them back with great force, as they hit the ground but they flipped over and landed on their feet. As one of them rushed towards Naruto and aimed to punch him in the face, but Naruto dodged with swift speed and grabbed his wrist, and spin around and swinged him away, as the other one rushed towards Naruto, as Naruto dodged his attack and slammed his fist into Mew's stomach, as Mew keeled over, as Naruto grabbed him by the collar and thrust him over his shoulder, and slammed him down into the ground. With great force, a crater was created underneath him. "Water balloon technique," said a voice, as hundreds of bubbles rose up from the ground and was now floating in the air, a technique from the Mizukage. Those bubbles was launched at Naruto with incredible speed and force, as Naruto started to attack the bubbles, destroying them, as he sent chakra down to his legs and his hands, as the Mizukage quickly jumped over to Mew, as Mew had managed to push himself off the ground, as Naruto hits were quite powerful. As Mew then looked up and he saw several dark patches of sweat on the Mizukage's outfit. "What happened?" Mew asked, as he tried to get to his feet, but he collapsed back on his knees. Naruto punches really take effect. As Mew then saw a hand came down towards his face, as he looked up at the Mizukage, who offered him his arm, as Mew took his arm and he helped him up. "The first technique I used, the steam, was to keep him distracted so you can attack him, but I did not expect him to neutralize my technique so soon. And that technique used a lot out of me because it needs a constant rate of chakra. That is why my appearance is so. I am glad that the both of us told our two successors to leave early. I will admit, using that genjutsu to stall him was a good idea while our people evacuated." The both of them then noticed that Naruto popped the last bubble and he was standing there waiting for them. "It's time to end this," said Naruto, as Mew looked over at the Mizukage, as the both of them gave each other a nod. "Indeed it is," said Mew, as he speed through hand sign, as he saw that the Mizukage was doing the same. As both of them built their techniques, as they held it, wanted it to charge as much as possible so they could annihilate the elemental sage. Across from them, Naruto held out a hand, a single finger, as Naruto's eye then flashed yellow, as the sun seemed to be darkened. The color of the land seemed to be sucked out, like it was being washed away. On the tip of Naruto's finger appeared a light, a small light that shined incredibly bright. The light never grew brighter or larger, it simply shined. As Mew saw that it was now or never, Dust release, detachment of the primitive world technique, he said. Water style, great waterfall technique, said the Mizukage. With that, the two techniques fire, a monstrous beam of energy, and a giant water wave rushing towards Naruto to kill him. It was only when both techniques were upon him did Naruto act as he called out his own technique, light release. Withdrawal of darkness, he said, as the light on his finger burst forward as a beam that were similar to the one that Mew had used. As this attack carved through the land, swallowing the technique from the two cages, engulfing them. Mew and the Mizukage eyes went wide as in a few seconds their body was also swallowed up by the technique. The light then continued across the land and continued to move out to sea. Yet it didn't stop, it continued to move out to the horizon as the water then exploded upwards as the light vanished, as all the colors returned, as the sun was shining bright again. With the technique end, Naruto then vanished, leaving behind some grateful people such as Kai as he watched his daughter and his granddaughter reunited. It would then be years before the world ever see the elemental sage again. Time skip. In a small town of Kumo, a young man made his way through the market. This town was like any other, but it had a myth that there was a secret monastery up in the mountains. People had went to try and find it, but none of them could. When they arrived, nothing was there. Several days of researchers scouring the mountain for any sign of a structure. It was agreed upon that the place was buried by an avalanche or rock slide. But there was no rock slide or anything like that in the last 50 years or so. So the myth of the haunted monastery attracted tourists. Every year, people who came to see, well, nothing. But the young man that was there wasn't here to see the monastery, as he was here to pick up some food, water, and other trinkets. As soon as he walked into the town, he saw children playing on the street. This place was very calm and soothing. As people were singing and talking, children were laughing, everything was cool. As the man wondered why was everyone celebrating, as he was buying, he heard two people talking. "I can't believe it's finally over," said a man. "Yeah, it has been a long time. I can now finally work normal without those damn ninja interfering with my schedule." "I know what you mean," said the other man. "Several ninjas took almost half of my last crops and said that it was payment for helping the war effort. Now that it's over, those bastards cannot take our crop without reason." "Do you know who won though?" the first man asked. "Yes, I heard." As he then grumbled, apparently it was Konoha. "It's because of that bastard. His name is Minato. He destroyed most of the other villages with some Hiroshin something like that technique." "What's wrong with you?" the first man asked. "I thought you wouldn't care who won the war, just that it's over." "Yeah, I don't, but look at the previous wars. The first one they won with that elemental sage. The second one they won with the Sanin and some help from the elemental sage. And now they win again, thanks to Minato." As the two men started to talk about other things, the young man started to realize what he just heard. His brain went over the information again and again. "Dear, is that all?" the woman asked, as she looked at the young man in front of her with brown hair and brown eyes. "Oh yes, thank you," the man said with a small smile. "So, Takino," said the woman, "have you brought them?" "Oh yes," the man said as he pulled out some drawings of dogs, cat, and other animal and people. These drawings were really valuable if you know how to sell them, as they could pay for more than what he was taking. "You are really skilled, you know that?" the woman said. "And they're all yours," said Takino. No, I can't take these. They're simply too much. You must take some back." "No, take them as a gift from me," the man said. "Thank you, Takino. You're such a good soul." As Takino then bid the woman farewell, as she waved him off as he walked off. As Takino then went into the forest as he released the genjutsu that he used to enter this village. As his brown hair turned into a luscious white hair and his brown eyes turned into white eyes. But he then changed it again as his white hair changed into black and his white eyes changed into green. His face then started to age as well, changing from his early 20s to his late 40s. Well then, I'll have to change my clothes, he tells himself. Minato, I'm coming, he said, as he then dashed off into the skies with a burst of speed. Time skip, Naruto was currently standing a distance away from the walls outside of Konoha from the guards, as a lot of things changed, and still Naruto didn't. This is something that he had accepted a long time ago, but he never got over it. How could one move past the fact that they will be the one to bury their children? Or their children, as Naruto would never accept that he could move past this. But what else could he do? Dwell on it until it consumed him. As Naruto looked at the walls of Konoha, as he wondered should this Minato be his son, how long would it take for him to bury his son? How long would he have with him before he eventually dies? As shinobi life was dangerous, and considering on his way here he heard that he was a cage of Konoha, how long before an incident happened and he died? Naruto shook his head. He couldn't think like that, not to the possibility of his son still being alive. As Naruto then moved forward towards the open gates, as he walked he had to admit that the clothes he was wearing was more comfortable than he thought, as he was wearing a brown pants made of cotton. He was wearing a brown shirt as well that was soft and comfy. All in all, he looked plain, like a normal civilian, and the genjutsu that made him look older than he actually was. As he moved towards the gate, Naruto had to pause as he wondered if he wasn't the only one that had stopped aging. Before him were the exact same gate guards that he had seen when he returned to Konoha to train Tsunade and her little friends, and that was many years ago. But he then looked closer and he saw it wasn't them. It was probably their sons, but they looked like them, as these two were alert and scanning the area for any constant movement. As he approached the gate, he noticed the both of them had a caution look on their face. "Greetings, citizen. How may Konoha help you today?" the man asked with a bit of caution in his voice. "Hello," Naruto said. "My name is Naruto. I am a humble traveler here to visit Konoha. I do not mean you or your beautiful village any harm." As Naruto had made up a reason, should tell them why he came to the village or tell a story. But he then decided that it would be easier if he made up a reason why he came here instead of telling them who he really is. For what seemed like an eternity, the shinobis stared at Naruto. "Papers," the shinobi said, as Naruto then handed over the papers that he had created in a small town several kilometers away when he knew he had to create proof of who he was. It took a bit of convincing to make the owners of the shop give him the papers, seeing that he never had them before, but in the end he got them. "Ah, very well, Naruto-san," said the man, as he handed back Naruto the papers. "Your papers seem to be correct. I hope you have a good time in Konoha." "Thank you," Naruto said as he entered. As he looked around the village and saw the changes, there was some, but not many. As Naruto saw the monument, a new face was up there. This is Namikaze Minato, his potential son. After looking for a while, Naruto saw the similarities between Minato and Minami and himself, as a small smile came on his face. He then turned towards the Hokage's tower, where he knew Minato would be. Now all he had to do was confirm his theories, as Naruto had to move slow, seeing that he noticed a lot of ninjas hiding on the rooftop, as he didn't want to blow his cover. When he finally got there, he stopped, as he was now standing in front of the building, his identity still intact. But the ninjas who were still watching him was pissing him off. He hasn't done anything, so why were they following him? As Naruto entered the building, but none of the ninjas got closer, they went away. But Naruto then sensed there was a lot more ninjas in here, hiding. But Naruto didn't understand why would there be guards in here. The Kages was supposed to be the powerfulest shinobi in the village, so if a person can kill a Kage, that means the guards cannot stand up against that person. Moving towards the stairs, Naruto started to walk, as he still followed behind him. As every people he passed, they snapped their heads towards him and narrowed their eyes. As Naruto continued to make his way up, until he finally arrived in front of the Hokage's office. The secretary was nowhere to be seen, as Naruto extended his hand, but he then wondered, would Minato want to see him? Throughout the years, Naruto would have dreamed of a moment when he would be reunited with his wife or his children. He had imagined holding all of them and hugging them tight, but now, as he stood a few steps away, his hopes were shattered by a single fact. Minato wasn't a boy anymore. He was a man. He didn't need a father, he didn't need any parents. His son was a shinobi, an adult nonetheless. Would you like to come in now? Said a voice, snapping Naruto from his thoughts. The door is unlocked, said a voice. It was from the other side of the door. As Naruto turned the knob and opened the door, as his eyes zeroed in on the person, as it was him. His blonde hair with the bangs coming down, and that face. He looked so much like Minami, Naruto thought. Can I help you, civilian? Asked Minato. You look so much like your mom, Naruto said. Immediately, Naruto saw Minato's attitude change as he got angry. So, that's why you're here. As Minato snapped his finger, as two ninjas appeared and grabbed onto Naruto, holding him. As Naruto noticed, they were wearing animal masks and different clothing from the other ninjas. So it seemed like Tobirama. Secret development. That special ninja corps. He finally created it. As Minato then got up and started to walk towards Naruto. As Naruto spoke, "What are you doing, Minato?" he said. As the anger in Minato's eyes increased, "You have not earned the right to call me that, civilian," he said. "And unless you tell me why you're here right now, I will have you thrown into a cell." Hokage-sama, I don't know how to properly say this, but you're my son, Naruto said, as he waited for a reaction. But all emotion seemed to lost from Minato. All of it just vanished in a second. So, Minato said, "You claim to be my dad. I have to admit, this is one of the cheapest scams I have ever came across," Minato said. "Scam? You think I'm lying?" "Isn't it obvious?" said Minato. "We look almost nothing alike. And you come to claim me after I have done something that the whole world have heard of. How stupid do you think I am?" "I am not," but Naruto then paused, as he thought about something. Seeing that, Minato spoke, "So you finally admit that you're a liar." As his face twisted with anger again, "People like you make me sick. You have gone so low to impression yourself as my dad, just for fame and wealth. The sad part is that you're not the first to attempt something like this. Do you have something to say for yourself?" As Minato already got the report from Izumo and Katetsu that this man was suspicious. "You can't remember anything, can you?" said Naruto. It seems like his son couldn't remember his face, his sisters, or his mother's. "You were about 5 when I lost you. You should be able to remember my face," Naruto said. "You have still shown me no proof of your relation to me," Minato said. "Hokage-sama, in my robes, there's a scroll. It contained the last painting of our family together, before it was broken." As Minato waved his hand as another Anvu appeared with a snake mask, as he reached into the robe, as there was a lot of scrolls, some of them holding change of clothes and some items. "It's labeled," said Naruto, as Minato moved over to his desk, as he saw family portrait. As Minato started to pump chakra into it to free the scroll, if it was some sort of bomb or something, he had faith that his Harishin could take this out of here quickly. There was a poof from the scroll as something appeared. Naruto felt the hands that were holding him tighten, but they didn't relax when nothing happened. As Naruto watched Minato, as he was looking at the photo, a giant portrait of their family. "Who is this girl?" Minato asked. knocking Naruto out of his thoughts. Was she adopted? No, Naruto said. She's your sister, born a year after you. Your mom said that she got her looks from both her grandparents. Her name is Konan. Your mom's name was Minami. Minato continued to stare at the painting as he placed it back down on the decks and then looked at Naruto. I will admit, Naruto-san, my interest has been piqued. None before has produced a painting of such high quality before as proof. No others has said that I have a sister neither. As he then waved his arms as the envoys released Naruto, as Minato then gestured for Naruto to sit down. As Naruto sat down, "Now talk," said Minato. "Your mom and I met a few decades ago, Minato. I was traveling around the world. I never truly had a job. I was a hermit, living mostly off the land and doing jobs in the nearby town that I went through. I was walking through the road of the land of grass when I run into your mother. She was running from several bandits. They had murdered the rest of her family, and it was only thanks to luck that they escaped. I used several skills that I had learned through my travels and took care of them. We then went to the nearest village as she had someone there to take her to her home in the north. In our traveling, we grew close together. And once we got there, she invited for me to stay. And I spent some time, and eventually, both of us fall in love with each other. And it was there we had you and Konan. You were quite hyper when you were a child, quite inquisitive as well. You would always run off, making your mother stress, as sometimes she wanted to pull her own hair out," Naruto said as he chuckled. As Minato chuckled as well, as Naruto prayed that that was a good sign. As his tone then turned grim, during the second shinobi war, stone ninjas took over the town. So I told Minami that all of us must leave. Because they want to round up any child with above average reserves for their age and taught them and trained them to become ninja, and I couldn't allow that. As we set off to the land of rivers, neither of us want you to be taken away, Minato, as Naruto looked up, as Minato had his eyes closed. It was during the trip that we were separated, Naruto said, as he wanted to end the story. Minato constant silence is making him uncomfortable. While we were walking, we came upon a group of several ninjas. They heard us, Naruto said, keeping the fact that Minato was the one who alerted them. His son didn't need to know that. They then moved in to kill us, all of us. I told Minami to run away with you, Konan, and go. I managed to subdue the ninjas, but I didn't realize one of them got past me. By the time I realized, your mom's body was burned beyond all recognition. All that was left to identify her was her hair and clothing. I never found you or Konan's body. I thought they were incinerated by fire. After I gave your sister and you and your mom a burial, I went into seclusion, like how I did before I met your mom. But when I heard rumors about a man named Minato, hope came back to my eyes. So I came here to see if the man that Konoha called the fourth Hokage was my son. And I don't think that I has been as grateful as now as I feel, Naruto said, with a smile on his face, as both Minato and Naruto just looked at each other. The envoys in the room just kept on watching, not knowing what to do. As they watched as Minato brought his hand up, as he chuckled as he rubbed his eye. I believe you, said Minato. So I guess you really are my dad. I always wonder what would he look like, what features that I inherited from him. Naruto gave Minato a smile as some tears started to appear in his eyes. I bet you didn't think that you took after your mom, did you? Said Naruto. No, I always thought that my looks came from my dad. As Minato removed his hand from his eyes, as Naruto then spoke, so, can you give your dad a hug? It's a way to make up for all the birthday presents you were supposed to give me. Naruto said that chuckle, but Minato could hear that his father had hidden meaning behind his words. He wanted a hug. He needed to reunite with his son. Well, I could, but what about all my birthdays that you missed, said Minato as he got up from his seat, as Naruto did the same. I'm sure I could find something to give you for the many birthdays that I miss. And I'm sure I can find a nice walking stick for you, Dad, Minato said as a tick mark came on Naruto's head. I'm not that old. You cannot make old jokes about me yet. As Minato gave a chuckle, as Naruto gave him a small smile, as the both of them moved closer and shared a hug. Neither of them noticed that the envoys went back in their hiding position. As far as Naruto was concerned, there was nothing that could spoil this moment. He had his son back, as a small tear ran down his face. Naruto didn't know how long they stayed in that hug, but like all things, it came to an end, as Minato was the one that pulled away. I suppose I should tell you what happened after Mom ran away. I suppose I should start by saying, when you said I didn't remember, that wasn't entirely true, said Minato, as he sat back down in his chair. The majority of my life before I came to Konoha was a blur, but sometimes I gained flashes, or a few words, but they are always gone before I could take in everything. Anyway, while I don't remember what all that happened, but I can now put the piece together after what you told me, Dad. As a small smile came on his face, it still feels weird to call anyone Dad, he said. Alright, moving on. While I can't remember the entire thing, I do remember flashes of what happened. It's not much, but I can remember a woman. It must be Mom telling me to run. As the place was hot, I could feel fire licking at my skin. I remember Mom telling me to run, further away from the last time. But all I could remember is running. And then I hit something, and then it all was a blank. When I woke up, I was in Konoha Hospital. They said that I was found near a few patrolled trees, near the route. I was then put in the academy, where I joined the Konoha Academy when I was 6. Once I reached a rank of Genin at 10, I was allowed to leave the orphanage. Wait, you moved out of orphanage when you were 10? How did you make money to survive? Why were you allowed to? As Minato laughed a bit when he saw the shock on Naruto's face. A ninja is considered a legal adult when they become a genin, and I paid for the apartment with the money I made from D-rank missions, along with some extra odd jobs that I pick up. And after that I rose through the ninja ranks until the day I became Hokage. Are you sure that's all? Naruto asks, with a raised eyebrow. Call it a father intuition, but I can tell there is something you're not telling me. Minato gave a nervous laugh with his hand coming up to rub the back of his head. Oh well, you see, I may have, as he was stuttering. As Naruto chuckled, as he then calmed down, he then explained, your mom acted the same way when she told me to come live with her. Continue, said Naruto. Okay, well you see, Minato said as he was stuttering again. Once he was under control again, he spoke. I kind of have a girlfriend, he said, fast. I'm sorry? What? Said Naruto, as Minato gave a nervous chuckle. Who knew it would be so hard to tell a parent that he had a girlfriend? I have a girlfriend, said Minato. So you have a girlfriend, do I get to meet her? After all, I must make sure that she is fit to date my son. I don't think that would be a good idea, Dad, said Minato. She might take offense to that. While more powerful than his girlfriend, Minato knew when she was truly angry, nothing could stand in her way. Okay, fine, but do I get to meet my future daughter-in-law? Anvu, said Minato, as a Anvu appeared. Bring Kushina Uzumaki to my office. Hearing that, Naruto raised an eyebrow. The last name, Uzumaki. That would be unnecessary, Hokage, said Anvu. Uzumaki-sama is waiting outside of your office. We kept her there so she wouldn't interrupt your current business. As Minato then paled, how long has she been waiting? 10 minutes, sir. Send her in, said Minato, as the Anvu then vanished. The door then burst open. Minato, you idiot, said a voice. As Naruto looked at the woman that entered, she had red hair that was tied up in a ponytail. She was wearing one of those jackets that ninjas wear, with a black shirt under it, with pants. As she moved around the decks, she slapped Minato across the head. You idiot! I'm your girlfriend. You don't make your girlfriend wait on you, even if you're the Hokage. I don't care if you're in a meeting with the Tetsukage to sort out peace between the nations. When you make a date, you better keep it, Minato. So, what do you have to say for yourself? As she folded her arms. Kushina, we have company, he said, as he pointed his finger to over Naruto. So, said Kushina, as she turned. As she cracked her knuckles. You're the reason why my Minato was held up. I hope you're ready for a knuckle sandwich. As Naruto sat there, not moving, As Kushina raised her arm, "Kushina, don't," Minato said. "Why not?" she said. "He interrupted our date. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't beat this old fart." "Because that's my dad." As Minato and Naruto looked at Kushina as she processed everything, as she chuckled nervously and lowered her face. Sorry about that, Namikaze-san. I didn't know that you were spending time with your son. I'll just leave." As she turned to walk towards the door, but a hand grabbed her wrist. As she turned around, "It's okay," Naruto said. "I would like to see who caught my son's attention." "Dad, this is Kushina Uzumaki, my girlfriend." "Kushina, this is my dad, Naruto." As the both of them shake each other's hand in greeting. "So," Minato said after the greeting were exchanged, "how about we get something to eat?" But guys, we end this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this, or know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notification to be posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune. I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Rebuild the Uzumaki Clan over on Anime King 2. And also go ahead and check out the new episode of What If Aizuna Uchiha was Naruto's ancestor, and enjoy. And also on this channel I post a new episode of What If Naruto was neglected by everyone, and I hope you enjoy each and every episode. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys over on Anime King 2. Peace.